remember that what I have will be what I call elaborate. In terms of our policy and planning. Actually, in policy and planning is represent in terms of separate parts of overall process of intervention. Okay, um, there are cases where policy may be developed without any direct planning implication, and planning is frequently undertaken outside any direct policy context. Okay, that last you can hear my voice or not?
Thanks, sir.
Okay. Last that we have go through the slide in terms of uh, policy content context, the triangle. So there is the case where the separate parts in terms of policy and planning. Remember that it's not what I call in coming in one package. Okay. Example in terms of transport policy, normally it will uh, deal with what we call set of construct and proposition that are established in achieving a specific objective or goal. Either in terms of what we are looking at is in terms of social, in terms of economic, in terms of environment, and in terms of the performance. Okay. Whereas where are the transport planning is normally deal with the preparation and implementation of action designed to address specific problem. Okay. So the goal in policy is to achieve effective, efficient, concerning the usage of our allocation of resources, transport resources, whether it's multimodal, what I call intermodal. This transport policy can be concerned as a public and private favorism. Is based on the public and private endeavor. Okay. So the role of government or in terms of in a certain country is very a major role, play a major role in a policy process in terms of governance, takbir urus. ataupun governance is tak berurus in terms of how they manage component of transport system and level of jurisdiction. Normally, policy come with the regulatory frameworks. Okay, but some of the transport system is privately owned by the organization or the firm, like shipping companies that service in terms of international markets. Normally, in terms of the organization, they have their what they call their own policy in terms of regards to the transportation. Normally, if trade between many countries, globalization, the government of what they call country is they are more favoritism to the company or organization is originally from their own country. Okay, so normally they have set in terms of the standard rule that relate to regulatory or in term of law. Uh, Normally, the government of the country they will provide in terms of infrastructure and regulatory framework. In the private sectors, normally they are seeing the provision and operation of many modes and terminal. So nowadays, the challenging in terms of globalization and deregulation. Uh, all the private uh, sectors or the organization, they must balance into the policy in terms of how they want to adopt a policy process through their asset allocation. Okay, asset allocation in terms of the truck, in terms of the modal. Okay, so it will be different between private policy and also public policy. Normally, public policy of a government is these four factors: social, uh, in terms of political, geopolitics, economy, and environment. Later on, we will go through our Malaysia National Transport Policy, and we will see in this perspective in terms of the social, political, economic, and environment. Okay. So transport is what they call play the major role. So sometimes it become a national security. Okay, how important in terms of transportation that it will uh, enhance or it will help in terms of the development of the certain countries. So the government normally they are develop this what they call policy to ensure control over space and borders in certain countries. Transport also they have raised a question about safety, public especially you as a public users, the users of the transportation. public and also public safety and also environment uh, in a long time. Like policy in terms of to safeguard in terms of people or public. If you want to drive, you need a license. Okay. And then for transportation, if you travel long distance, so what are the policy the organization need to follow? They need to have the second drivers in terms of working hours, equipment standards, okay, that like safety belt, um, GPS tracking, okay, speed limit for highway 110 for private vehicle, and then for uh, transportation 80 to 90 kilometers per hour. This one to ensure in terms of safety, in terms of accident control. From time to time, nowadays, in terms of transport, they develop on the way of doing business. They have upgrade in terms of carbon emission. Certain vehicle they need to use in terms of the standard normally like engine, okay, engine that surpass in terms of certain standard like Euro. You remember, you maybe you have heard about Euro 4, Euro 5. Uh, this one is all the standard that to make sure in terms of uh, what they call efficiency and emission standard. And then this policy also tends to, in certain country, there be what they call in terms of monopoly. Okay, like in Malaysia, uh, for oil business is under KTM. KTM is under government previously. Now they have been privatized. And then MRT and ERT under Khazanah is what they call solely what they call monopoly. Okay, compared to the last time like Malaysia airline system, MAS, but nowadays when government giving more license, bagi lebih banyak license untuk all the operators. So kita tengok Capital A, previously what they call AirAsia, they have Malindo, they have Lion Air, that have what they call in term ownership. Okay. Some policy in terms of how they want to control uh, or in terms of to establish the policy, the government play the role uh, in terms of subsidies, okay, incentive in order to what we call safeguard in terms of the public, in terms of regulatory control that will shape in terms of the government, the policy, labor regulations, in terms of safety and operating standards. Okay. Okay. I think I will stop here. Um, I will go back to the your QR code for anybody that still not scanned. Please, you can scan now, or you want to add manual. I will go to the manual later on. So that's all for today. Please take care. Um, Next Wednesday, I think the class is still on. Only the week after the semester break, right? So please take care and then be ensure your safety. Thank you and have a nice day. Assalamualaikum.